AI or not AI? This is the question today. And for me, the answer is obviously, I make a podcast about AI, so the answer is AI, yes. But there are good reasons and there are things we have to consider with using AI. So this is what we talk about. It's Dietmar from Beginner's Guide to AI. It's a personal episode where I tell you something about what I read in the internet and what my thoughts are on this. Don't forget to go to beginnersguide.nl to get the newsletter and also take a look at AI for the 99%, which is my other podcast for small medium enterprises on how to use AI to get better in what you do. If you, for whatever reason, hear cheering in the back, or I take a hydration break, it's because the the soccer or football championship is actually running, and family is watching the game South Africa against Canada. Um, we and I need a hydration break because we have 42 degrees Celsius, which is in Fahrenheit 107, and it's a new record for Berlin here. So it's really hot. So first hydration break, and I do it in style for a German with a beer. Yeah, coming back to the topic, and it's AI or not AI. Let's first talk about reasons why not to use AI. So there would be something, and it is a huge discussion about the ecological reason. No? There's some research that says, or like I think it's Google saying that one question to the AI is like four searches. So if you go to Google as a search engine and ask something, you do the same with Google's Gemini. It's four times as energy consuming. Hmm? So okay, one would say, oh, four times okay. But then if you have follow-up questions, so a typical chat could be like 10, 20 questions, that is much more energy, much more water you use for getting a simple result. I'm just giving facts at the first part of the podcast. Coming to the points, if it makes sense or not, I come then later. The second thing would be, and I have had this question, is AI causes job loss. So there's some people saying yes, some people saying no, but it's a risk. And from a society like US, like Germany, it's like, okay. But I had this talk with a woman from South Africa who said, yeah, okay, the people who did the stuff that AI does know, like writing essays for students in US universities. Huh? There's 20,000 people in Kenya doing this, and probably they're all now jobless. And this woman from South Africa said, okay, those people are all on the streets now and getting criminal. So yeah, there's something in it. Job loss is a problem not only for developing societies like South Africa, but there's also a good point that this can change the political landscape in Germany or US. No? Imagine 10% more people are unemployed. Third thing would be I had a great article where it was like, okay, that came basically from the, let's say, left extremist area where they said AI is a huge problem because it is against minorities, it is discriminating people, it doesn't protect the minorities, and it's a thing of big capital. And this is not a solution to use Bernie Sanders' idea of um, putting 50% of the ownership of those big companies into state ownership, but it's a general problem that AI will never be a um, worker oriented socialist solution. I find this argument quite extreme. There are points there. There are things that I find okay when I have to talk about them. The radical solution is not my solution though. Yeah, the thing one can say in general, and this is my opinion, and I will go through the details. But there's this thing that Paul Ritzer said in his podcast: there's no way around AI. So you have to use AI. There's no chance to do something else because the others will use it. And as this is always a bad argument saying, yeah, the others will use it, so I use it. But in this case, it's a tool. It's like not using a computer at a certain time, or using a steam engine. And yeah, there are scribes today around, no, that really write things per hand. And yeah, okay, you can do that. And but somehow it's not the solution anymore. People use printing presses, use computers to write, and that will be the same way with AI. There's no way around AI. Coming back to the reasons or the problems here, the first one was the ecological one. Yeah, we have to think about that ecological impact. It's crazy what happens there. So we have to think, how can we make this impact minimal? There's a lot of potential. I studied economics with and I took a lot of ecological and environmental and resource economic classes, as we had to do. And there's a lot of power from the sun, from the earth, whatever. So we have to develop those resources. So this is a thing that's there forever, but we don't do much about it. We should do more, and then the impact of those technologies is not as big, or let's say it's small if you do it right. The thing with job loss, another thing, yeah, there might be job loss, so the state has to care for the people. If there is something that takes those jobs away, we have to see that there's taxation, that the money is there for caring for those people, like reskilling them, teaching them, and in the time but where they don't have a job, to help them survive. It's a job of the state. State has to do this, is my opinion. This left extreme point, I know from the end of the 90s or so, I knew some people from left alternative scene, and they were like, smartphone is the end of the world. We will never use it. Today, 20 years later, everyone in this scene also uses the smartphone. So it's like a technophobia, and it's uh, it's the question what you do with AI, and you have to really ask this question: who profits from it? What are the problems? What can we do? But there's also so much we can gain through AI. So I don't see this point in forbidding AI because of it is a problem against discriminated workers, people from poor countries. Yeah, we have to do something. This is obviously a problem. If there's monopolies or oligopolies, that's a problem. You have to do something. If the money goes into uh, the purses of few people, yeah, it's a problem. So, but society can do something there, and forbidding AI is not a solution. So, there's another thing I want to say. Think about how you use AI. There's this thing of, why should you yourself forbid the use of AI in certain things, in certain ways? It's about de-skilling. You should not ask AI everything. I have a nice example here. It's like, you all do. I do Google Ads and Google Ads marketing. We look at funny keywords, and there's this: what should I eat today? So there's honestly people who Google what they could eat. And I'm quite sure there's a lot of people asking AI for that. So, yeah, don't do that. Think yourself. Because if you delegate your whole life to AI, yeah, no. AI will take over, and this will definitely de-skill you. You will be basically a zombie running around, uh, directed by an AI. Naja, so honestly, in the end, a few niches will survive where there's no AI. That might be really great human stuff, that might be strange human stuff, or that might be where we humans are still better. So focus on those. For the other stuff, use AI, but think about when to use it, how to use it, and don't let it take your job with those de-skilling things, like not doing the stuff that where you need to think about it. There's this thing, there's an interview upcoming with Moritz Suthoff, and he's like saying that we mostly don't see the errors in the AI. He has some research on this. This is really interesting because those errors are kind of hidden. And if we don't start thinking, the AI produces whatever, and we have to question every single answer, basically. So don't stop thinking. And this is probably the most important thing. Use AI, don't stop thinking. And one last example, as you know, I studied also some history. There's this China example in the, I think it was 14th, 15th century, where China closed off all connections to the world outside. They looked at the tech that was out there, in a sense of they collected it. The emperor had a collection of tech toys. One would say tech today, but it was like watches and whatever in the 15th century, 16th century came there. He collected, but he didn't use it internally. And then, much later, as we all know, they were colonized because they didn't use the tech that others used, that were basically economically probably weaker, or not in a sense of, but with tech they were stronger, like the British Empire, but with people, with numbers, and those countries, the European countries, were stronger because they used technology. So this is the thing. In the end, technology makes a difference, but use it wisely. And that's it for today. Thank you for staying to the end of the podcast. Don't forget to go to beginnersguide.nl. .nl. I think I need another hydration break with a great German beer. So follow the podcast, get the newsletter to get everything in your mailbox, never miss an episode. And it's Dietmar from Argo Berlin signing off.